Yo, what is good, my people? Welcome back to the channel, welcome back if you're new, and if you're new, please hit that subscribe button because we are literally about to unpack chaos together. My name doesn't matter right now, what matters is that Kwababa just aired one of its messiest, juiciest episodes yet, and I have been sitting here for the last 10 minutes just processing. Genuinely processing. If you don't know, Kwababa is that new Mzansi magic telenovela set in Sawawa, Deep Kloof, Soweto drama at its absolute finest, following Zwelakhe, our firstborn son trying to build an empire, honor his late father's legacy, and marry the love of his life, Bahumi Motalang. Sounds simple, right? Wrong. Because this show has decided that nothing, and I mean nothing, is allowed to be simple for this man. Quick context before we jump in, for those catching up, the Mambokazi family has been sitting on old wounds since episode 1, mainly thanks to Uncle Dumisani, who has never once in his life supported Zwelakhe taking over as Inkosana. And on the Motalang side, Momotong has her own opinions about whether her daughter Bahumi should even be marrying into this family at all, given how the lobola negotiations have gone. Messy. Set the tone. Let's go. Grab your tea, grab your snacks, because today's episode picked up literally seconds after that cliffhanger from yesterday, and honestly, I don't think any of us were ready. Scene 1, the morning after. So we open, and I mean we open, back at the Mambokazi household, early morning, and the whole compound is just tense. Like you can feel it through the screen. Zwelakhe is up before everyone else, pacing in the yard, because remember, last episode ended with him finding out that Dumisani had gone behind his back to speak to the elders about reviewing his position as heir. Reviewing. As if this man hasn't been grinding, sacrificing, doing everything right since his father passed. Zwelakhe's mother comes outside to find him like this, and honestly, this scene right here. Beautifully shot. She doesn't yell, she doesn't panic, she just quietly tells him that legacy isn't something people can take from you if your heart is in the right place. And look, I'm not crying, you's crying. But also, and I have to say this, I don't fully buy that Dumisani is going to back down that easily just because Mama Mambokazi said something wise. This uncle has been scheming since episode 1. I don't trust him for a second. Meanwhile, cut to Bahumi. She's at her family home, getting ready for what's supposed to be a peaceful follow-up meeting between the two families to finally close the lobola negotiations. Keyword, supposed to be. Because if you've been watching this show as long as I have, you already know peaceful family meeting on Kwababa means someone is about to throw a chair. Metaphorically. Sometimes literally. Her mother, Momotong, is fussing over her outfit, but there's this undertone in the conversation. Momotong basically drops a line about how she hopes the Mambokazis have finally sorted out their house before another cent of lobola goes anywhere. Oh. That line. That line. She said it so calm too, which honestly makes it worse. You know when someone's shading you nicely? That's what this was. Scene 2, the families meet. Okay, so this is the scene everybody's going to be talking about tonight, I already know it. Both families arrive at the Mambokazi homestead for the meeting, elders on both sides, the whole formal setup, everybody dressed appropriately, trying to keep things dignified. And for like the first 4 minutes, it's actually going smoothly. Compliments being exchanged, the uncles are doing their formal greetings, everyone's sitting properly. I was almost relaxed, guys. Almost. And then, of course, Dumisani opens his mouth. He starts raising a concern, and I use that term generously, about whether the Mambokazi family is even in a position to finalize things given internal matters that still need to be settled. And listen, the room went quiet. Like you could hear a pin drop. Zwelakhe's face. Stone. Bahumi's father sitting up straighter, clearly sensing something's off. And Momotong was not having it. She immediately asks, very politely but very pointedly, what exactly these internal matters are, because if there's something the Motalang family should know before finalizing lobola, they'd like to know now. Can you believe this, man? In front of everybody. At a lobola meeting. I was actually yelling at my screen. This is exactly the kind of petty, calculated sabotage Dumisani has been threatening to pull since day one, and he chose this moment, in front of the in-laws, to plant the seed of doubt. Diabolical. Actually diabolical. Zwelakhe tries to smooth it over, saying it's a private family matter that has nothing to do with the negotiations, but the damage is already done. You can see it on Bahumi's father's face, he's not fully convinced. And Bahumi, sitting quietly the whole time in the women's section listening to all this, looks absolutely mortified. The meeting basically stalls after that. Elders start murmuring to each other, and the whole peaceful energy from the start of the scene. Gone. Evaporated. Momotong ends up requesting that the families reconvene once matters are settled, which is basically the polite way of saying we're pausing this until you people get your house in order. Brutal. Just brutal. Scene 3, Zwelakhe and Bahumi. After the disaster of a meeting, we get this really tender, quiet scene between Zwelakhe and Bahumi, and honestly, this is where the show reminds you why people fell in love with this couple in the first place. They meet privately later that day, away from both families, and Zwelakhe is just exhausted. Like you can see it in his shoulders. He apologizes to her, even though none of this was really his fault, and Bahumi, bless her, doesn't even let him finish apologizing. She tells him she's not scared of a delay, she's scared of what happens if he lets his uncle keep chipping away at him piece by piece. And she says something like, I didn't fall in love with the heir, I fell in love with you, and I swear, the way it was delivered. Chills. Genuine chills. But here's the thing that's got me thinking, and I need you guys to notice this too, there's this brief moment where Bahumi hesitates before saying something, like she's about to bring up something else entirely, and then she just stops herself. Doesn't finish the thought. The camera lingers on her face for just a second too long for it to be nothing. I am convinced Bahumi is hiding something of her own. Whether it's about her family, her past, something financial, I don't know yet, but that hesitation was too deliberate to be random. Writers, if you're watching this, I see you. Scene 4, Dumisani's true plan. Now this is where the episode really shows its cards, and honestly, it's the scene I was waiting for the entire episode. We cut to Dumisani back at his own house, and he's not alone, he's meeting with someone we've seen a couple of times in the background but never really paid attention to, a lawyer-type character, sharp suit, very business-like energy. And in this conversation, it becomes painfully clear that Dumisani's concerns at the lobola meeting weren't random at all, they were completely calculated. He knew the Motongs would react that way. He wanted the delay. Why, though? That's the real question. And this conversation gives us a huge clue. Dumisani mentions something about documents from his late brother's estate that apparently haven't been fully accounted for. Translation: this man thinks there's money, land, or property tied to Zwelakhe's father's legacy that hasn't been properly settled, and he's trying to create enough chaos and delay to dig into it himself before Zwelakhe fully secures his position as heir. I actually gasped at this part, not gonna lie. Because up until now, I honestly thought Dumisani's whole thing was just bitterness and pride, like an ego thing, and I should have been in charge kind of resentment. But this scene reframes everything. This isn't just about pride anymore. This is about money. This is about assets. This man might genuinely be trying to rob his own nephew blind while hiding behind tradition and family concerns. Absolutely wild. Absolutely on brand for this show, though, I love it and I hate it at the same time. Scene 5, The Motong household fallout. Back at the Motalang home, Momotong is not letting this go. She's pacing, clearly agitated, and she and Bahumi's father get into this really pointed conversation about whether they should even be allowing this marriage to move forward at all with all this Makai's family drama hanging over it. And this is where we get a really interesting character beat for Bahumi's father, who honestly hasn't had much to do until now. He actually pushes back on Momotong a little, saying that every family has its issues, and that they shouldn't punish Bahumi for something that isn't her fault or Zwelakhe's fault. It's a nice little moment of him standing up for his daughter's happiness even when his wife is ready to pull the plug on the whole thing. But Momotong, and honestly, respect to this actress because she is cooking this season, she just looks at him and says something like, "I am not punishing anybody. I am protecting my daughter from being married into a family at war with itself." And when she puts it like that, kind of hard to argue with, honestly. As messy as this whole situation is, I actually see her point. If my daughter was marrying into this chaos, I'd probably be side-eyeing everybody too. Bahumi overhears part of this conversation from the hallway, classic soapy eavesdropping moment, we love to see it, and her face just kind of crumbles. She doesn't say anything, doesn't storm in dramatically, she just quietly walks away. Which, honestly, hit harder than if she'd made a big scene. Sometimes the quiet reactions get me more than the loud ones. Scene 6, the ancestral twist. Okay, so if you thought the episode was done throwing curveballs, it was not. We cut to a scene at the Makai's family altar area, where Zwelakhe's mother is performing a small private ritual, speaking to the ancestors, clearly stressed about everything happening with her son. And during this scene, an older family member, I believe this is meant to be a great-aunt or elder relative we haven't seen much of, approaches her and says something that stops the whole scene cold. She mentions that there were unfinished matters with Zwelakhe's father before he passed, matters that were never properly closed with the ancestors, and that all this chaos, the lobola disruption, Dumisani's scheming, might be connected to that unresolved business. Now look, I don't know about you, but the second a South African drama brings the ancestors into a plotline like this, my ears perk right up, because that's usually the show telling us, hey, there's a bigger mystery here than you think. This isn't just Dumisani being greedy anymore, the show is hinting that there might be something deeper tied to how Zwelakhe's father died, or what happened right before his death, that hasn't been dealt with. That is a huge potential storyline if they go there. Zwelakhe's mother looks genuinely shaken by this conversation, more shaken than we've seen her all episode, and she tells the elder that she'll handle it soon, which, come on, we all know in soapy language means she is absolutely not going to handle it soon, and it's going to blow up in the worst possible way at the worst possible time. That's just how these shows work, and honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. Scene 7, the cliffhanger. And now, the moment. The scene everyone's going to be talking about online tonight. Zwelakhe, fed up with everything happening around him, decides he's done waiting for other people to fix his family's mess. He goes to confront Dumisani directly, alone, no elders, no mediators, just the two of them. And this confrontation. Intense. The tension has been building all episode and it finally explodes here. Zwelakhe basically lays it out, he knows Dumisani orchestrated the disruption at the lobola meeting, and he demands to know what he's really after. Dumisani, smug as ever, doesn't even deny it outright. Instead he says something chilling, something like, "You think you know everything about your father's legacy? Ask your mother what really happened before he died." And then, the episode just ends. Right there. No resolution, no reaction shot even fully finishing, just cut straight to black and the outro music hits. I actually yelled at my TV. Like, out loud. Because that line just confirms what that ancestral scene was hinting at, there is something about Zwelakhe's father's death that hasn't been told to us yet, and Dumisani knows about it, and he's now dangling it over Zwelakhe like a weapon. This is no longer just about lobola and inheritance drama. This is about the truth of how Zwelakhe's father actually died, and honestly, my mind is racing with theories right now. My predictions for next episode. Okay, before we wrap up, let me give you my honest predictions, because I have thoughts. First, I don't think Dumisani is bluffing. I think there genuinely is something about the father's death that's been kept quiet, possibly involving money, possibly involving betrayal within the family, and I would not be shocked if it connects back to why Dumisani has been so bitter about the succession this whole time. What if he feels like he was wrong somehow when the father was alive? That would actually make his villain arc make a lot more sense. Second, Zwelakhe's mother is going to have to answer for this, and soon. That "I'll handle it soon" line was way too ominous to just disappear. I expect a full confrontation between Zwelakhe and his mother next episode, and it is going to be emotional. And third, remember that hesitation from Bahumi earlier in the episode. I still think she's sitting on something of her own, and with the lobola talks now stalled, I wouldn't be surprised if her secret comes out around the same time as the Mackay's family secret, just to really maximize the chaos. This show does not believe in giving us one crisis at a time, clearly. OUTRO. Okay guys, that is the full recap for today's episode of Kwababa, and honestly, I need someone to talk to about this because my head is spinning. This show really said let's ruin everyone's day and committed to it fully. If you enjoyed this recap, please smash that like button, it genuinely helps the channel so much, and if you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? Get on it. Drop your predictions in the comments below. I want to know what you think Dumisani meant by that line, and whether you think Bahumi's family is going to walk away from this marriage altogether. As always, I'll be back tomorrow with the recap for the next episode, and trust me, after that cliffhanger, we are not missing it. Until then, take care of yourselves, stay hydrated, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.